Even if you look at the divinity of Jesus, you will not find it in the original text. You will find it later in the development of the Christian faith. So when you look at the corruption here, you find today Christians will argue with each other on how many books are even in the Bible. Now let's talk about preservation of holy text. Anybody know about the difference between the Catholic Bible and the Protestant Bible? Anybody? From all these people here, nobody knows? So the Catholic Bible has a different amount or different number of books than the Protestant Bible. And now I'm not talking about prints or translations. I'm talking about physical large books like Matthew, John, Luke, like that. The Catholic Bible has additional ones, the Protestant Bible doesn't. The Mormon's book is a totally different Bible. Other Christians won't accept it. If you look at the Bible itself, today when you get a copy of the English translation of a Bible, they're almost always based off whose version? King James Version. KJV, you will find it on the Bible. Who was King James? And who gave him authority to edit, compile, translate, and do all this to a Bible? Who was he as a person? And what was his physical and romantic relationships with men and animals? A person like this is going to update the Bible for you? This is not acceptable. Even if you look at the divinity of Jesus, you will not find it in the original text. You will find it later in the development of the Christian faith. So when you look at the corruption here, you find today Christians will argue with each other on how many books are even in the Bible. If you look at the authorship of the 4 famous books within the New Testament, Mark, Matthew, Luke, John, nobody knows who their authors are. They definitely weren't the apostles. If you go Wikipedia, Google, research, get some books that were written by Christian scientists, Christian scholars, you will find that they will say themselves, including Jehovah's Witnesses and others, that the authorship of these books is unknown. But they were authored around 70 years after the time of Jesus. So what does that tell you? There is no authentic, preserved record of what Jesus had preserved in his time. Now let's go to the Quran. Let's go to Islam. The Quran was revealed as an oral tradition, meaning the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had the angel Gabriel come and recite the Quran to him. And from that, the Prophet, he recited the Quran to his followers. It was not revealed as a book that came from the sky, for example. And it was preserved in the time of the Prophet himself, peace be upon him. How was it preserved? Through many ways. The first way, it was memorized by the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, himself. So the Prophet, he knew it all. Obviously, it was revealed to him. He recited to his companions. Over 1,000 companions memorized it. The names of many of them have been recorded. Which one of them? By a scholar named As-Suyuti in a book called Al-Itqan. He writes the names that all of these of the companions, they had memorized the entire Quran cover to cover. Now from their students, from the next generation, the Tabi'un, and those that followed them, they grew in number, memorizing the entire Quran cover to cover, letter by letter, word by word, verse by verse. And in the first generation, not talking about 70 or 100 years, in the first generation, the companion of the Prophet, the first caliph, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, he compiled the entire Quran from written manuscripts from the lifetime of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to collect it in a book format. And the companion, and now we're talking about the same generation as the Prophet, not talking about years after. Uthman radiallahu anhu, he standardized them and he sent them out to the Muslim lands. Now, it's important to understand, because some people try to cause confusion out of either ignorance or malice, that there is only one Quran. Unlike, as we discussed, between the Catholics and Protestants and Mormons, where they have a disagreement on how many books, there is no disagreement in the Muslim world. Shia, Sunni, Deobandi, this, that, here or that, everybody understands there's only one Quran. 114 chapters, that's it. Nobody can show 115 or 113, you don't see it, right? But there is difference in recitation. For example, if I was to say potato, could you say potato? If I say tomato, could you say tomato? Could you or not, right? There's a British accent, there's an American accent, there is Southern accent, there is the Boston accent, there's English that's spoken in, for example, South Africa, that pronounces things differently. And that is the miracle of the Quran. One of the miracles of the Quran, that all of the accepted accents of recitation of the Quran have been preserved. Now, if I say potato or potato, and I put the accents on it, will they be different? Yes. Because in English, we don't put accents. You put a little line over the O to make it longer or shorter. We don't put that. But if you were, like if you look it up in a dictionary, they will be different, but the word will be exactly the same. Your pronunciation may be different. And sometimes you will throw in letters that you won't regularly. For example, can you spell color for me? Right? But if you were in England, how would you spell it? Excellent. Is it a different word? Does it have a different meaning? But you have a U that is silent, that is used for whatever it was used for. So in the same way, in the Arabic language, in the original Arabic, the Quran is written without any dots, without fatha, dhamma, kasra, without accents. Why? Because the Arabs knew how to pronounce those words. They knew the words that well. But later, these were added for understanding the pronunciation. And those will differ because accents differ. But the original Quran, as it was preserved in the lifetime of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and the first generation as a book, is preserved till today. We have the actual book, not just one, but multiple copies from Uthman radiallahu anhu. And none of them have a difference from the way we recite it today. Now, there is Hafs and Asim, or Warsh and Nafi' or Qalun, or different recitations. All the ones that are accepted, they will be preserved to that one Mus'haf, that one book. And that's something amazing, to have that preserved as a message.